Glory be to the one who took his servant by night from the sacred mosque to the farthest mosque, whose surroundings we have blessed, so that we may show him some of our signs. Indeed, he alone is the all-hearing, all-seeing.
Okay, now, the Quran just said, it's perfectly clear. It explains everything in it, all things in it, perfectly clearly. That's what it said in those verses, then it contradicted itself. So if the Quran is perfectly clear and explains all things, can you tell me, just from the Quran, who that servant is? Do you have the answer for that just from the Quran?
We know the Prophet.
Prove it. How do you know that? Where did the Quran say it's the Prophet? Why are you reading later hadiths into this? Because when you go to the hadiths, it's going to embarrass you. That's why I'm saying be careful. Don't run to the hadith. So from that verse alone, can you prove to me it's Muhammad? Okay, now follow up with
We can't take a Quran verse in isolation of itself without.
Okay, I'm not taking isolation. I'm reading it in the Quran. Can you show me anything in your 114 chapters of the Quran that explains it? Because you're the one who told me in the comment section on Skype, no hadiths. I have it. Didn't you tell me no hadiths?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm now holding you accountable to your own standard. No hadith, the Quran alone. In the Quran, can you show me that's Muhammad? No.
We know it's Muhammad.
How do you know that? Where did the Quran tell you it's Muhammad? The name Muhammad only appears 4 times in your entire Quran. How do you know it's Muhammad? How do you know? I'm still waiting for the answer. How do you know? Okay, now, related to the same verse, it says, who took his servant by night from the inviolable mosque to the farthest mosque, Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Aqsa. Where is Masjid al-Haram? Can you show me from the Quran where and what is Masjid al-Haram? From the Quran.
It's in Saudi Arabia.
Where did the Quran say Saudi Arabia? Where does that verse say Saudi Arabia?
It doesn't say that, but I know Masjid al-Haram is mentioned.
And where does it tell you Masjid al-Haram is in Arabia? Secondly, what's the farthest mosque? Masjid al-Aqsa. Where is that at?
Jerusalem.
Where did the verse say Jerusalem? Why are you making things up as you go along? Where did that verse say Jerusalem?
Well, this verse doesn't say Jerusalem.
But the Quran told you in those 6 or more verses that you read, and I have a lot more, it explains all things in this book. It's perfectly clear and perfectly clearly explains the verses. How come it fails to explain this verse for you? And it's less than perfectly clear. Okay, now, I got even more problems with the verse. Okay, now, who's the one saying, glory be to him?
But this one, you're taking this verse in isolation of itself.
Okay, give me the context of the Quran. Give me the rest of the verses so I don't take it in isolation. Where in the Quran does it explain this verse? I'm not taking anything in isolation.
No, but you're basically saying that the Quran doesn't explain that, or
yes,
doesn't reveal that the farthest mosque
yes, exactly.
is in Jerusalem.
Exactly. It doesn't. That's the truth. And doesn't tell you who the servant is. Maybe it's Moses. How do you know? Because Moses, if you're saying Jerusalem, Moses was in that area.
But the Quran mentions the name Muhammad
4 times, and in places where it doesn't assume that every other instance where it says say or where it says, oh prophet, it's Muhammad. How do you know that?
What? Say that again?
The name Muhammad only appears 4 times, and it's mentioned in certain isolated places scattered throughout the Quran. So how do you know that whenever the Quran says, say, O prophet, or the prophet is not harsh with the believers, that's Muhammad? How do you know that? So you keep assuming that every time the Quran says, say, that's Muhammad that's being told to say. Or when it says, and the prophet is not harsh, that's Muhammad who's the prophet. Where does the Quran say that this is Muhammad when it mentions the prophet?
Why does it have to be a criteria?
Because you told me don't go to the hadith. I'm using your criterion. Do you remember? Did I say not to go to hadith or you said it? So without the hadith, answer those questions, especially when the Quran says it perfectly, clearly explains everything in the book. I'm going by your criterion. Did you tell me don't use hadith? Because if I use hadith, it's going to be more embarrassment, which I will in a minute. But before we go there, who's saying in 17 verse 1, glory be to him? Who's speaking?
Allah.
So Allah is speaking to himself and glorifying himself.
Yeah.
Oh, you're okay with it. So you're okay with Allah saying, glory be to him, instead of saying, glory be to me, who carried my servant by night. So Allah has to speak of himself in the 3rd person?
Yeah, that's how Allah refers to himself.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you said Allah. But then Allah goes on to say, so that we might show him some of our signs. So Allah is saying, glory be to him, which is me, who carried his servant by night, which is my servant, from the inviolable mosque to the farthest mosque, whose precincts we blessed, so we might show him.
I'll admit this verse doesn't explain the location.
No, but that's even more than that. What I'm asking is, why can't Allah
Reading
simply...
that to you. You tried to get me busted with that. I'm saying, yeah, if you're taking this verse in isolation of itself,
Even in the context of the Quran, you're not going to be able to figure out, because there's nothing in the Quran and other verses that tell you what this means.
I have to investigate that.
Keep investigating. But don't forget 2 points. This is the same Quran that told you it is a book that explains all things and is perfectly clear and perfectly clearly explains its verses, yet it doesn't. But here's the point I want you to focus on, so we can go to another example. Focus on this point with me. Allah speaking, and Allah says, pay attention. You can see the Arabic, you'll confirm it. Allah saying to himself, glory be to him, which is actually me, who carried his servant by night, which is my servant, from the inviolable mosque to the farthest mosque. And now notice Allah says, whose precincts we blessed. Now, but pay attention to this part. So that we might show him our signs, ayat. Right? Do you see Allah says we might show him?
Yeah.
Okay, now here's my question. If you're following the Arabic and the English. So he goes, we might show him our signs. He is the seer. Wait, so the one that Allah is showing his signs, Allah just says about him, the one that he showed his miracles to, he, the one we showed our signs to, he's the seer, the knower? Who's that?
Yeah, I figure, I had a feeling you might bring that up.
Okay, then address it.
But that's ambiguous.
Yeah, but my point is, Allah says we might show him our miracles.
Because see, this wouldn't be a contradiction. I can agree it doesn't specify.
How's it not a
locations.
Contradiction? Because if Allah is saying we showed him our miracles,
that we may show him
who's the him?
Signs.
Yeah, who's the him? Who is Allah showing his miracles to?
Indeed, he alone is the all-hearing, all-knowing.
Who's the him and the he? So Allah showed him.
So Allah speaking, saying we
showed,
and then saying he.
Yeah, but my point is, the he is the him. We might show him. You keep forgetting that, our signs. If that's Allah, why would Allah need Allah to show him miracles? Allah showing himself miracles?
You know what? Hold on.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on. But if it's Muhammad,
so let me see if I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
What I gather from what you're saying is that it says, so that we, that being Allah, referring to himself,
we show
him our signs. And the claim is, indeed, he alone is all-seeing, all-hearing, all-seeing.
And who's the...
But you're saying, why would Allah, after just saying we, say he?
No, it's more than that. Allah says we showed him our signs, and then speaking of him, he says he, the him that we showed our signs to, he is the all-seeing, the all-knowing. Who's the he and the him?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If they want, that's the point I'm getting at.
Okay, so who's the he and the him?
The claim is that Allah would be saying, the claim is that Allah's the all-hearing, all-seeing. So why would he say he?
No, it's not only that. Why would...
Instead of saying, indeed, I am the all-knowing, or indeed, we are the all-knowing.
Take a break. Take a break. Jihad.
So you're trying to say that Allah is saying that Muhammad is the all-hearing, all-seeing.
Yeah. So
is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I'm trying to say it. Let's see if you got it. The him and the he are the same. The one, it says, showed him our signs, is the he who's the all-hearer and the all-knower. They don't change. It's the same him and he. So if you tell me Allah is the one that Allah just said, he is the seer.
That's what I just said.
Okay, I know. But be patient for the love of your Allah. Astaghfirullah. Be patient. If Allah is the one that Allah said, he is the seer and the knower, then that means the we showed Allah miracles. So why would Allah need to be shown miracles from himself? And if you say Muhammad, it's even worse. Because if it's Muhammad, we showed him Muhammad.
We show him our signs.
And
Allah
he-
is showing the Prophet
Oh, but then you just destroyed it.
our
'Cause
signs.
then- okay, but then finish it. The he is the seer and the knower.
He is the all-hearing, all
That's Muhammad. You just said it's Muhammad. The him and the he don't change. It's the same one.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
That's
so
what I-
is
that's-
Muhammad
that's
all
what-
hearing? Do you believe
that's
Muhammad?
what
Okay,
I-
is Muhammad
that's what-
all hearing, all seeing?
No, so the all-hearing, all-seeing refers to Allah.
So
that's
then
why your
Allah-
issue is with the he.
Allah is the one that was shown miracles. So now you're stuck. You can't change it. Because it's the same him and he in the same sentence. It doesn't change. Him, we showed our signs. He is the seer. So it's the same entity. So who is it? We're still trying to figure it out. If it's Muhammad, then Muhammad is all seeing. If it's Allah,
So
then Allah's being shown
you're
miracles.
claiming that this last sentence means that that it's referring to Muhammad alayhi salam.
If it's Muhammad, then Muhammad is the seer and the knower. So you made him God. You made him an ilah.